What's up, gamers? I got something really cool in the mail today. It's the TrimUI Brick. I've been waiting a long time to get my hands on this one, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. And here's the brick box and the carrying case. Now this video is not sponsored, but Mech DIY did send the brick over in exchange for an honest review, so make sure you check out their website linked in the description below. And if you enjoy the content, please go ahead and subscribe. Every comment, every like, every subscription really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. And I'm trying really hard to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of 2024. So thanks for watching, and I appreciate your help. But let's go ahead and take a look at this case real quick. This is a hard shell case. It is Mech DIY branded. It looks really nice. They did send me a CrossMix OS micro SD card, and there's an elastic band here to keep that in place, and a really nice deep mesh pocket for storing your charging cable, earbuds, whatever else you need to carry with you. Now to unbox the brick, on the front of the box here we do have TrimUI's mission statement, purpose built to spark your imagination, and I do really love that mission statement. It hits me right here. I love using my imagination, and I love that they want you to use your imagination. Great job there, TrimUI. I really like that statement. It also says fast boot, 3.2-inch LCD display, wireless LAN versus mode, stereo speakers, and Type-C connection. You've got your color here on the side and what the box includes and some extra details here on the back. Getting right into the box, we've got an instruction manual. Really snug in here is the TrimUI Brick itself. We have a USB-A to USB-C charging cable, and they did send me some extra shoulder buttons. These are interchangeable and you can mix them together, so maybe they're all different shapes. So maybe you want your L1 and R1 to be flat, but you want your R2 and L2 to be more raised and pointed. You can mix those together. They all fit together in various ways. They also sent me this backplate that is not branded, because you can actually laser engrave this and customize it if you want, or maybe you just want it to not say anything at all. And Mech DIY will actually customize these plates for you and laser engrave them for you. You just have to pay them a little extra and send them the file of what you want engraved here. But that's kind of cool to customize the device. Maybe you want your name or a logo or something on the back. I'm not gonna lie, it'd be really cool to have the BKG logo on the back of this thing. But by default, you're gonna get this metal backplate that's gonna say TrimUI Brick on the back of it like that. And here's the front of the device. Shing! Look at that. It is just so clean, so pristine. I'm not gonna lie, one of the things that I did not like about the TrimUI Smart Pro is that it just, to me, kind of felt cheap. This is the exact opposite. The brick feels like a prestigious device, like it feels high class, like something that would cost a lot more than what it does. And having it in my hand and seeing it with my own eyes, I really do understand the hype around this device. It is engraved right here in the corner. It says TrimUI Brick. I think that that's really cool. It's not gaudy. It doesn't stick out. In fact, it just blends right in, but it's there in a nice, subtle way. Also, the TrimUI logo is etched into the D-pad here, and I think that that's really cool. You have your stereo speakers down here, which is awesome to see on a vertical device. We don't usually get stereo speakers on the vertical devices, so that's cool. On the bottom, you have your micro SD card slot, your USB-C port, a 3.5mm headphone jack, and then this is kind of unique here. We have a pinhole for a microphone, which makes me wonder if those Nintendo DS games that require the microphone to play the game, if those will be compatible with this. I'll have to look up and see what games used that so we can check it out in the full review. And then also we have a reset button here that's kind of unique because this doesn't protrude from the device. It's not even flush with the surface of the device. It's actually below the surface of this device, which means you should never accidentally hit the reset button. And I kind of like that. On the right side, we have the power button and the function switch, which we'll talk more about later. On the top, there is an LED bar, which looks really cool. Also, there's LEDs behind the triggers, and I went ahead and replaced those keycaps with the clear ones so that you can really see that light so it pops. And then on the left side, we have our volume up and down. And I want to show you real quick how this fits in the case. I do wish the case was just a little bit smaller because this has plenty of wiggle room around here, but When it's closed, this thing is going to be totally protected. I mean, it's going to shake around a little bit because it's not snug, but it's not going to get damaged. This is a really nice case. Again, this is an incredibly soft interior in the case, and the outer shell is solid, so there's really nothing to worry about with that case. Let's go ahead and turn the device on and check out some games. Ooh, the glow. See the glow behind the keycaps here? That looks so cool. Oh, this vibrates as well. The little motor in here feels really nice. You can even see it glow against your finger as you're holding this. You have different tabs across the top that you can access with L1 and R1. You can also arrow up to them and switch through them with the arrows. You can favorite games, you can go to recent games, you can go to game collections. They have different collections kind of already set up for you. And this is kind of cool because the lights change with the collections. So like this Mario collection, it changes to red. Pokemon changes to yellow. Sonic changes to blue. So that's just kind of neat to see that they've put that level of detail and thought into this on a system level, on a hardware level, that the lighting changes with those collections. If you keep going back by hitting B, you end up on this screen where you can search the TrimUI and go through your different tabs this way. And I don't know, to me, the menu is a little too overcomplicated, and I thought the same thing about the Smart Pro, and I even got comments on my Smart Pro review saying, how did you get to that section? Because I think that the menu system kind of confuses people, and I get that. Once you figure it out, it's okay, but figuring it out for the first time is just, it's kind of weird. It's a little bit clunky or something. But I'll show you some of the settings that we have here. You can go into like a system level of settings. You've got a whole bunch of themes. They did send me their CrossMix card. CrossMix should be available by the time I have this video out on their GitHub, but it wasn't yet, so they sent me that on a card. You can also buy that card separately or packaged with your TrimUI Brick. And if you get that card, which size card you get will determine the number of games that you get packed in with that. You do, of course, have display settings. I have the brightness turned down to 6 right now. You can change the brightness of your LEDs. You can change contrast, saturation, color temperature. All those things are set in the middle for right now. Sometimes I will turn up the saturation just a little bit just to make the colors pop a little more. That's a personal preference though. This does have Bluetooth, I guess, for controller support, as well as Wi-Fi again for that wireless LAN play. You can see there's even a NetPlay tab, so you can find other people that have NetPlay enabled. It also has over-the-air updates, which I personally love to see. It will pick a random game for you if you want it to. You have an ebook reader, file manager, port masters in here. You've got screen record. You've got a scraper. You can go into RetroArch. There's just all kinds of stuff here. You can change the boot logo. You've got a media player. Here's where you, in apps, you would change the function key settings. And so let's take a look at that for a second. So you actually have a function switch and 2 function keys that you can customize. So to switch between those, you're going to hit this minus button in the middle on the bottom, and you'll see that it will circle which key you're changing. So on this left one here right now, it is my D-pad and joystick toggle. So I just push that key, and this will act as a joystick for games that require a joystick. Push it again, it will act as a D-pad. But you can change it to any of these. And then function key 2, it has the same options for that. And the function switch has more options. Right now, it's set to CPU performance mode. But what I'm unclear on is which direction it has to be to use performance mode. I assume that up means it's on and down means it's off, but it doesn't explicitly say that. You can also set it to turbo for all these other buttons, power save mode, silent mode, quiet mode, or LED off. We're just going to leave it like it is for now. And again, I want to get into some games. So you can see here all of the systems that we have available here. It is actually quite a lot of systems. But since this has a 3:2 aspect ratio, I'm going to start with GBA, and we're just going to play, let's just play a little Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. So you can see just how good this looks, and it's got shaders turned on right now, so you can see those individual pixels like you would have on the original. Let's just listen to these speakers for a second. The speakers are definitely loud enough, but they are not bassy at all. They are very, very tinny speakers, which is a little disappointing. Like honestly, the mids almost aren't even there. So that's a little disappointing because the build quality is so good on this device. I was hoping that the speakers would be up to par, and sound as good as this feels, but they just don't, which is unfortunate. But that doesn't mean that the games aren't still just as fun to play. And of course, you do have the headphone jack. So if you are so inclined, you can use that headphone jack to get better audio. So to save a game on here, you're going to hold the minus button and hit R2. And it's going to say save. To load a game, you're going to hold it and hit L1. And it's going to load back to the state where you saved. You can also use that's your hotkey by default. You can use that to hit R1 to turn up the volume and L1 to turn down the volume. R1 is also the fast forward button, so you will adjust the volume at the same time that you hit fast forward, which is a little weird. I might have to go in and turn that off because you have volume buttons, so I don't know why you would want to push two buttons to change the volume when you can just push one button. I'm not really sure why that even exists. To quit a game, you can hit the menu button here in the middle. You can also save and load from those points as well, or set up net play, and you can hit exit game, or you can hold down this middle button and hit plus and hit the start button, which this is basically start and select here. So you can hold down select and hit start, and it'll take you back to the main menu. Pretty simple stuff there. Stuff loads really quickly. A lot of times I try God of War Chains of Olympus. So let's just try that out on PSP and see how that performs on here. While that's loading, I do want to just take a look at the size comparison of this versus like something like the RG35XX. So you can see it definitely is smaller. It's about the same thickness though, but you can see that it's not as wide and it's not as tall. So it is a slightly more pocketable device. It also doesn't have the bump outs that this has in the back. This is really flat across there where the triggers are. So that's nice. All right, so see, I did have to hit that button, toggle on the joystick function. See, now it's turned off, but I'm gonna push that and now I can move. This looks really good. Of course, PSP was a 16:9 device, but this is running really well, mostly at 30 frames per second. Sometimes it's going a little over that, sometimes a little bit under, but for one of these budget devices, I actually don't know if I've seen PSP run this well on a device that's well under $100. A lot of times you have to do a lot of speed hacks, and sometimes that means, the sky doesn't display right, or different things don't display quite correctly, but everything's displaying correctly on this device right now and still running at 30 frames per second. So that's actually pretty awesome. There's always a bigger fish. Now, the buttons do have a click to them, and I'm noticing that now as I kind of push these buttons over and over again in repeated fashion. No button, of course, is completely silent. I would say that these aren't the loudest buttons I've ever heard, but they're more like on the medium side of loudness as they do click. Now, the D-pad has a click to it as well, but as you're pivoting around, I don't really notice it. It's just the face buttons that have a click to them. Look, even through that cutscene right there with the exploding sand, it didn't really dip below 30. It went down to 28 at one point, but there's 26, but there's a lot of particle effects going on right here in this scene, and it's not a gameplay scene. You're just watching it, and running through that sand right then, it stayed at 30. So this is very impressive. All of this is just first impressions, but one thing I will note really quickly is that after playing PSP for 10 minutes or so, the back of this is pretty warm, not on the plastic, but on this aluminum backing here up top behind the screen, which I'm assuming is where the CPU is. That's pretty warm. Like, I can keep my finger on it, my thumb on it. It's not going to burn me or anything, but it's definitely noticeable. But PSP, again, was running really well, and taxing the system, that's like the highest of highest end stuff that this can run. So if you're getting this to play truly retro games, especially like Game Boy, Super Famicom, Genesis, those types of systems, I doubt that it's going to get that hot. But that's been a quick first look at the TrimUI Brick. I mean, this thing is lightweight, it's slim, it looks fantastic. I love the LEDs and the glow that they put off. Quite honestly, I can't wait to spend some more time with it so that I can give it a full review. Look how good that looks. I mean, come on, that is some great design. But that about wraps it up for this first look. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think of the TrimUI Brick. If you've already been trying it out for yourself, what do you think? And if you want one of these, hey, are you going to wait for the red or the purple? Or are you going to go ahead and go for the white or the black model? I think they all look great, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Stay kind and encouraging out there. And as always, I'll catch you on the flippity flip.